We're going to use Chloe to demonstrate how to properly put on a slip leash. Now, depending on whether you want your dog walking on your left side or your right side during a structured heel command is going to depend on how you put this leash on. Okay? Now with Chloe, I have her walk in the heel command on my left side. So with that, I'm going to have the slack of this leash hanging from the left side of this ring. If she was to walk on my right side during a structured heel command, I would place the leash over her head with the slack hanging from the right side. Okay? And you'll see why here with this demonstration. So if I'm on her right side, every single time you let up on this, gravity does the work for you and it loosens up. Okay? If you were to have it on the wrong side, when you drop the leash, you see how that ring doesn't slide? It doesn't replace the slack. So that can be dangerous because if you cinch all the way and it's harder for your dog to breathe and you try to release, it won't release all the way, making it a potential hazard for your dog. So if your dog walks on your right during a structured heel, slack on the right. If they walk on the left, slack on the left. Okay? Chloe walks on the left. So with her straight in front of me, facing me, I will put this over her head with the slack hanging to the left. Lift your head. Good. Now, proper placement of this is going to be very high up on the neck, right behind the ears and the skull. So as you cinch down, you're going to take the lock and you're going to cinch it down nice and snug. We're going to use Chloe to demonstrate how to properly size and place your prong collar on your dog. So we want this to be nice and snug to where it can't really slide around. But when it's on the dog, when we pull it, we still want there to be a nice little triangle in between there, as you can see. If when your dog's on it and you go to pull, if there doesn't create any space of an actual triangle in there, then this is too tight, okay? Now I'm going to put this on her before I demonstrate sizing, just so you can see what it looks like when it properly fits. You can see where that placement is. It's nice and high on her neck, just like a slip. When you order your collar, there's a very good chance that the amount of links on there will not be the exact size you need for your dog. So you may need to add or remove one or more of these links. Okay? It's really simple. If you need to do it, I would just avoid altering the ones that are touching these plates. Okay, these solid plates here. There's 3 of them. One where it meets the chain on each side, and then one right in the middle where they meet to hold the prongs together. Now the reason I say this is because if you accidentally pinch too hard or you bend or break one of the ones that are attached to the plates, it's harder to replace those actual links and you'll most likely have to replace your entire collar. But if you always use the ones that are not connected to the plates, so in Chloe's collar, for example this one, I would use this link or this link to take it off or on the dog. In order to add or remove a link, I would do it with these ones in the middle that aren't touching these plates. So, if the collar is too big for my dog, I will simply remove one of these prongs. You pinch the elbows right there. See how I took that off? I'll do it again, but slower. So I push this up, I pinch those elbows, and those come out of those holes right there. Okay? To take the link off, you just do the same thing to that link. And now this collar will be one link smaller. You'll be able to take off as many as you need to make the collar smaller up to a certain point. Now say the collar's too small and you need to add a link to your collar. It's really simple. It's just the reversed method of what we just did. So if I need this, I'll look for the middle link, Open it up, take my spare link, put it in those holes. Now I take the other side, put it on. There you go. Now, through the fitting, you saw that it's supposed to be nice and snug, right? That means you're not going to be able to slide it over your dog's head, okay? If you can do that, that means the collar is way too big. So when you put this on and off your dog, you are going to have to do it like this every time, okay? You'll have to take it on and off like that. Put it around their neck in the correct position. It is not to be slid on and off over the head. Let's put the proper sized prong collar on Chloe one more time, but from a different angle, so that way you can see the fit and the position of where it should be. Okay, as you can see, it's high up on the head, right behind the ears, consistent all the way around the neck, right? Now, you should be able to move it around the dog's neck a little bit. Hold the scruff and move it around. Help it guide through the hairs so it's not ripping any out. But it shouldn't be free-flowing and moving around on the neck on its own. If you're able to move it, it should be by you actually moving it, not from this just shuffling around, okay? Now, you'll see right here, when I pull it, there's the triangle we were talking about. If you pull it and you can't get enough slack to where you create the triangle, the collar is too tight. If you pull it and these two ends, this plate and this plate, if they are touching, the collar is too big, okay? So it needs to be right in that middle ground, making a nice little triangle like that. Good girl, Chloe. All right, with this lesson, we are going to upgrade Reecee from a slip to a prong. We're still going to be using the slip collar as a safety. What I mean by this is this will still be around Reese's neck. This is the exact same type of situation as a slip lead, just the collar. So this will be on her neck as a safety. The prong will be around her neck up higher where the slip was sitting beforehand. And we are going to slowly introduce her to this new sensation of prong pressure. So I'm going to go grab her. I'm going to bring her out on this slip collar. And while we are out here, I will show you me sizing the collar to her and her experiencing it for the first time. Now, there's a few things that we're going to want to keep in mind when it comes to these prong collars. First of all, if you get a prong, I only recommend you get the brand Hermsprenger, okay? Hermsprenger is a very, very, very reliable prong. They are very durable, and the nice part is all the prongs, they face the same direction on one side, and then the opposite side, they go the opposite direction. You'll notice that a lot of the other prong companies that you can purchase from, they do not have this same technology. Their pressure does not apply evenly, but the way they set this up, it applies much more evenly for the dog around their entire neck. Next, since we have Reecee, she is a short-haired dog. Okay, so now we get to use a 2.25 sized prong collar. This is a very small prong collar. There's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to the prong and what size you need to use for which dog. Usually people just go to the 4.2, the very large size prong for a large dog, when really that's not the case. The reason that larger prong exists is so that way it can work through the longer hair of different long hair breeds. This will not be able to work its way through a dog like my German Shepherd Chloe. But for Reece, she has a very, very short fur length. So her coat is easy for these small prongs to work their way through. Even if you have a very large bully breed with short hair, you're still going to want to use the small prong. Now, I understand that size of this collar might be a concern when it comes to your dog being very strong, bending, breaking these prongs. 100% agree with you. We need to make sure that our dog cannot just break this and then be loose. That is why we are going to be using a slip collar as a safety net. Okay, so when this goes around Reese's neck, the clasp of the leash will be connected to this, but as well as this. So that way, if this does by chance break, we now have this as a safety net. We're not going to have a loose dog. Right now, we have Reecee on the slip collar. We're going to introduce her to the prong. Okay. We'll get right where you guys can see us working together. So the first thing I need to do is decide what size she needs to wear. Oh, it looks like this might be a perfect size right off the bag. Yeah, this looks like it's actually going to be a perfect fit. It's not sliding around. It's sitting nice and high up on her neck. And you can see it provides a nice little triangle. So I know it's not too tight. So from here, you can see it's connected to the slip. That's the safety. You're just going to connect it to the exterior ring. And now we have the training collar and the safety system in place. Don't we, Reecee? Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and move this. So at this point, any single time she goes to the end of this leash, she is going to be on prong pressure. So I'm going to be very gentle with that. Good. You see how this can be very beneficial compared to a slip lead. Instead of her doing more damage to her trachea, now all it takes is a very, very light amount of pressure. And you can see the difference in how serious she's taking my position and where I'm at in this training area in regards to her. Good. Because this is much more effective. This is a sensation she's not used to. Good. She's essentially spent her entire life in an animal shelter. Animal shelters have volunteers come walk their dogs. Good job. By no means do I expect a volunteer to appropriately show a rescue dog how to walk on leash and respond to leash pressure. So she has a big, big habit and a big, big resistance of leaning into that leash pressure. So with a tool that looks like it would be much less humane than a slip collar, you can already see how much more humane this really is. When you are actually trained to use this tool correctly, this is one of the best things that you can do for you and your dog. Good. She is paying way more attention to me and my position in this training area. 100% better than she was in our last session.